Greetings from Oakland, California at the Poets and Quants headquarters, where it is sunny and beautiful this morning. My name is Nathan Allen. I am a staff writer at Poets and Quants, and for the past few months, I've been working on our online MBA rankings, which we debuted early this morning. So I'm here to talk a little bit about the process, introduce the top 10, and then we are going to do a live interview with the dean of the school that placed number one. So first of all, let's talk a little about methodology. No ranking is perfect. No decision should be made based solely on the ranking. That being said, we believe that we do it better than anyone else. The reason why is we think that any educational experience comes down to three broad categories, which is, first of all, admission standards. So the quality of the incoming classmates. This can be particularly important at the MBA level, whether it be full-time or online, because of all the networking that goes on in the program, as well as the things that you can learn from your classmates, especially at the online level. There's a lot more work experience going on, and so there's a lot more to learn from your classmates. So we measure admission standards. We do that by work experience, undergraduate GPA, and GRE and GMAT scores. Second, so we gather all that data from the schools. Second, we rank the MBA experience. That is done by an alumni survey that goes out to all the participating schools, went out to their graduating classes from 2016 to 2018. We asked them a bunch of things, questions on a 1 to 10 scale about extracurricular activities, international experiences, consulting projects, how their professors were, how their classmates were, and how all that informed them progressing in their careers and jobs. Lastly, we asked them to rate various things about their career outcomes. If the online MBA program led directly to a raise or a promotion, and we averaged all of that and put it all together. All three of those categories are rated equally. You can learn way more about that on our website, poetsandquants.com. Everything is there. We publish all the data, and we publish exactly how we do it. If you really wanted to nerd out about it, you could collect everything and recreate the rankings yourself. So let's talk about the schools now. Last year, we ranked 25 schools. This year, we upped it to 35. All 35 of the schools submitted their school survey. 34 out of 35 of the schools allowed us to poll their alumni. This has been going on for the past 2 months now that we've been serving their alums and that they've been reporting the data to us. So at number 10, University of Texas at Dallas. Last year, they were number 4. The reason why they moved slightly down this year was a little bit less of an alumni response. And also we just had some newcomers go into the survey this year, which we'll talk more about. Next, Hofstra University, the Zarb School. This is one of the newcomers. They were not ranked last year. They popped in at 9th. They actually won the MBA experience category. So their alumni rated them way better than any other school. So it appears that it's a good experience. Alumni are pretty pleased with them. Next, University of Nebraska in Lincoln, Nebraska. They were 17th last year. They rolled up to 8th this year. That was largely because of their admission standards. They have good GMAT average. They're intaking students who have a lot of work experience. That's what propelled them up there. Next, University of Florida, the Gators. Yeah, and they had a very even approach. They scored very well throughout. All three, the admission standards, MBA experience, and career outcomes. Next, at number 6, University of North Carolina at Heenan-Flagler. They use the 2U program, the outside resource that runs their online MBA experience. Great remarks from their alums. They seem to be really pleased with what's happening there. And they were 20th last year and went all the way up to 6th this year, so big moves for them. Next, Lehigh University, they were 6th last year, moved up to 5th this year. Again, very even scores across the board. The career outcomes was their strongest category. And next, Carnegie Mellon University. So last year's number 1 spot, they went down to 4th this year. It's largely because of another newcomer and stronger ratings from other alums from the other schools. Next, last year's 2nd place finisher, Indiana University, the Kelley School of Business. Also really good admission standards. That was where they scored the highest. And that's, again, largely because of average GMAT scores, having a high percentage of students reporting GMATs, as well as a lot of work experience of their students coming in. Next, number 2, Auburn University, crashing in. They were 10th last year, and they just busted into this 2nd spot, mainly from, again, the MBA experience and the career outcomes. Their alums really rated them well. I love the Auburn story. They started as a program in 1989, obviously before internet was widespread or around. And so they were sending VHS tapes out to people all over the country, and then progressed to DVDs and now online. So they've been in the game really long time, celebrating 30 years next year. And the number 1 school is a brand new program. Last year, we couldn't even rank them because they didn't have enough alums that had gone through it yet. So brand new, they scored highest in 2 out of the 3 categories: admission standards, they were number 1, career outcomes, they were number 1, and they were number 2 in the MBA experience, only finishing 2nd to Hofstra. We are fortunate enough to have the dean of this school with us, Dean Ellis.
Good morning, Nathan. How are you?
Doing great. How are you? Do you want to introduce your school to us?
My name is Jim Ellis. I'm the dean of the Marshall School of Business at the University of Southern California.
Well, greetings from Oakland. It's so nice of you to take the time to speak with us this morning. As a new program, I just want to first learn about the impetus to it. Why did you all decide to get into this space, already a very established school? What were kind of some of those early conversations like 5 years ago?
What really prompted it was some journalists that were writing articles about the decline of the MBA, the fact that it was a declining product, and it was kind of going through a product life cycle that people were worried about, and they were seeing applications going down on the regular on-campus MBA programs, and there was a lot of talk about online, and we thought we need to get into this space. We need to try it. We need to see what it takes. What does it entail relative to our faculty? What does it entail relative to production, content, curriculum, et cetera, et cetera? And we always felt that if we tested it and it was something that wasn't appropriate or it didn't work, we would eliminate it and move on. But as it turned out, it's become very, very popular. We have a spectacular team that has put this together. They have a passion for this, and that has really helped us immensely. And our Vice Dean, Sandra Crystal, our Assistant Dean, Phil Griego, our faculty advisor, Miriam Burgos, they've all just been rock stars with their team. And that means a lot. You have to have a champion to do anything successfully, and we have great champions here.
Yeah, and so when you mentioned that the process and the testing went well, I'm wondering if you can share any more details about that. I understand that you all did some electives first and they had tested them on the full-time MBA students. Can you just tell me about things you learned and when you knew that it was going to be successful?
Well, the first class, interestingly enough, when we went out and marketed the program, we had hoped to get 15 students. And we said, if we don't get 15, that may be an indicator that it's a problem. But on the other hand, you got to try it. You got to try it first and see what happens. We got 16. So that told us, let's keep going. Then we were very fortunate that we had some of our senior faculty members, and this is really critical to the mission, senior faculty members that got involved with designing of the curriculum. We did not take our existing MBA curriculum and just throw it onto the online platform. We looked at how we could do it differently and what was appropriate to online learning that may not be appropriate to on-campus learning. And some of our senior faculty members picked up the ball and ran with it and designed new courses and new curriculum that was very applicable to the online space, not so much applicable early on to transferring it over to the on-campus space. It ultimately may become the way we go, but it's been very successful for us. And having the champions on the faculty side has also been a huge plus. Because you've got people that really now are completely converted. They are evangelistic about this whole thing, and that really is what's made it very successful for us.
Right, and that's one of the things that I found really fascinating about your program is a lot of times other schools are really touting their how their full-time program is exactly like their online program, same professors, same curriculum. So I'm wondering if you can share any more about maybe the differences, examples that you have between the online experience versus the full-time experience at Marshall.
Well, the first thing, just to be very simple about it, you can't just put a camera on a faculty member in the classroom and say, now we're online. That just doesn't work. So you've got to change it so that the interaction, which is going to be different, is different. But we also took classes that were typically siloed and put them together, where you had two professors teaching, one from a management department and one from a finance department, or one from a marketing department and one from a finance department. So the curriculum and the classwork was really a combination of silos, not just this is a finance class, this is a marketing class, this is an accounting class. And that was really something that the students liked. They picked it up quickly. The other thing is the students themselves really, because this is the way they have turned out to be learners, they learn well in an online environment, and they learned well in this kind of curriculum, and they become very, very close to one another. They are communicating when they talk to us, they're communicating with each other more than once a day. I mean, they're talking to each other all the time. So the closeness of a cohort is pretty incredible.
Right. And I'm wondering if you can share any more about the cohorts that you've seen so far. Where are they coming from in terms of geography, industry, and functions? If there's anything that you're seeing kind of trend-wise there.
I think, let me ask Sandra if she'd jump in on this
Come
one.
on in, Sandra.
Thank you.
Tech and engineering is number one, as you might guess. Then healthcare is number two, finance, management kind of things, number three, and then all over. But it's amazing that more than 55% of the students are not from LA or Orange County. They are from other areas. I think it's equally important to know that at least 21% of our students have multiple degrees, mostly masters, but we have some doctors, PhDs and MDs and JDs. The classes are rich for their diversity in geography as well as in industries. And so the students truly learn from one another as well as from their professors. And those conversations that the professor really facilitates twice a week on the Zoom platform are so important to the learning.
Right. And how does that translate then into future career beyond the online MBA program in terms of, the students selling themselves to get that raise or get that promotion or switch positions?
First of all, all of the students, and maybe there's one student that's come in that isn't working full-time. These people, as I said, are well-educated. They're working full-time, so they're not looking for jobs. We have two fabulous career coaches who were in the business world for 25 years, and they will meet with the students one-on-one and do career coaching. So that helps for interviews internally and for promotions. Most of our students have reported that they are getting promotions, they are getting raises. This is self-reported. We feel that that's something that we can't go out and ask people to tell us, but it's helpful for us to know it. But it's been very, very successful. You probably know more than we do from reaching out to our alumni.
Well, you all did score highest in the career outcomes category, so the self-reported data would back up that. I'm wondering, what you make of that. Is this something that you all expected? Was it a goal going into it? Just what do you kind of make of all the success coming out of the
I
career
think
situation?
let me answer it first, then I'll let Sandra answer it, Nathan. I think what we were hoping for were those students who really couldn't come to campus, couldn't share in an on-campus experience for various reasons, whether they were wildcatters in the oil fields of Oklahoma and Texas, whether they were U.S. Navy SEALs on deployment somewhere where they couldn't talk about it. But then we had people like a woman who had been a CEO of a bank for 15 years. They sold the bank, and she signed up for the program and said, now I get to get my MBA at my kitchen counter while I raise my kids. And I didn't get to do that when I was being the CEO of a bank. And the enthusiasm from these students about learning and then about moving forward in their careers it's daunting. It's so strong. And so I would share that with you just as an anecdote. Let Sandra say anything that the other ones that you might have had.
I absolutely agree with what Jim said. What we're finding is that our average work experience is 11 years. So we're getting professional people who are not changing industry, but deciding that having this general management degree is what they need now to really feel confident to build on whatever they've done successfully so far. That's only going to continue. The opportunity cost for those people to quit their jobs, to move to LA and live in LA, it would be very expensive. Now, we've also found that many of our students really require the personalization that they get in our online classes, the interactivity. They don't want to be one of thousands. They love their cohort. They're, as Jim has said, forming very close relationships. That's both personal and professional. They stay in touch, and they're going to be helping each other. Marshall and USC, of course, is known for its network, but these cohorts are incredibly close. This is only going to grow. We have made a statement that we were going to be at about 200 students steady state, but there are going to be other programs, other specialty areas, certificates that we will probably want to go into in the future because there's a huge need and a real appreciation. These people all do their business online. They're interviewing people online. They're doing projects online. They really love the fact that, for example, Miriam's teaching a virtual team class with her background in not only marketing, but at P&G. This is what they're looking for. They want to improve their skills that they're using every day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I love the anecdote about the mom at the kitchen counter.
I know, it's my favorite. I love it.
So I want to jump back before we move forward because I think there's another distinguishing feature just reporting on a bunch of different programs, including yours. And that is that you all went out to a couple of the other schools at the top of our list, IU Kelly, UNC Keenan-Flagler. And you saw two really great programs, and that's kind of how you formed, or at least a piece of how you formed this program. So I want to learn a little bit more about what you learned, but also why you all decided to go in-house with the production versus hiring an outside source.
Okay, I did go out to IU Kelly. They were wonderful. I spent a day with them. I went to Harvard and watched their core interaction sessions and sat in on one of their classes. Keenan-Flagler was wonderful. We didn't actually go there, but we had several Zoom conferences with our task force when we were building the curriculum. But I also met with all of the USC schools that were online. Some of them have external partners, just as Toyota is with Keenan-Flagler. We are the only ones here that decided to go with our in-house team. I saw that it was successful at IU. We talked to our faculty. They felt more comfortable with their intellectual property, keeping it in-house. They also really liked the fact that we were hiring, Phil has done this, hired the best instructional designers and production team, and our faculty have built friendships with them. We didn't know if they would want to go downtown where our studios are. We build out all these studios, and we didn't know if the faculty would like it. They've turned out that they do like it because there's privacy down there. They're away from campus. They can go into the studios and make mistakes and correct them, and our team is there to support them from the time they start with determining the student outcomes and writing the syllabus all the way through when they're doing their Zoom sessions 2 nights a week. That hand-holding, that very important learning for the professors has been a side benefit that is rich for Marshall, because those professors are taking that pedagogy and the deliverables, the asynchronous deliverables, to their residential classes as well as the online classes. To look at the Masters in Business Taxation, they liked the online version so well, they measured the assessment of their students and faculty for a couple of years. They've put everything on the flipped classroom model now, they're residential and online. So we see that our learning for our professors has improved. Most of us have a PhD in a concentrated field. We don't get taught how to teach. This is the first time when we've got a team, Phil's team of instructional designers works with our professors to make them be even better professors. And the production team, as you've seen, has won awards. That piece helps the students to learn, and it supplements the professors in a way none of us could create all of these background activities and the virtual world that they've built for our professors. So it's been a fabulous way for the school to improve its teaching and learning.
I think, just to add a couple of things, if I can, Nathan. Number one, what Kelly and Keenan Flagler and HBS did was truly to encourage us and to help us, and we've got to give them great credit for helping us along the way and giving Sandra some real strong facts about what it entails to do a program such as this. And then when it came to the financing of the whole program, it's not cheap to start it that way, particularly with your own studios. But if you're going to do it, you have to do it the best you possibly can do it. And doing something on the cheap just doesn't work. That's not fair to the student population. It's not fair to the faculty that are putting the time and effort on it. You have to give them the best possible facilities you can. And over time, it's going to work out great. So we were really excited that it all fell together as it did.
Right, and you actually led me into the next point that I wanted to hit upon, which is the cost. There's such a large spread in the cost of online MBAs, and you all are definitely hitting at the top of that. So I'm wondering if you can, I'm kind of actually in your demographic of potential students. I have about 10 years of professional work. I have a master's degree. Sell me on why I should pay $100,000 for your degree versus 30 or 40 at another school.
We can both do this one. This is pretty easy. We can both do that. I'll let Sandra do it first.
We have the best learning environment, but please, there's a little link. You can go out and apply for admissions right away. We can send you the link. But we really believe that we have the best faculty, the best students, the best team that will support any student who comes in. And then this is a non-quantifiable, but we also have the best alumni. I can't tell you what that means in dollars and cents, quantifiable, but I can tell you that they help one another. The people in the classroom learn from one another, and then they help one another afterwards. And that is just huge. And knowing that you've got the best professors, you look at our website, you see the awards that our professors have won, their experience. There's just no better program. I mean, I'm trying to be modest, and I can't.
It's interesting. It's interesting listening to what she says. When we are talking to potential students about coming to campus for an MBA, one of our selling points is our location. Because we're in Southern California, we've got great weather, we're close to the Pacific Rim, it's where the action is, it's a very entrepreneurial environment, it's a very entrepreneurial city. That doesn't work here. We can't use our location as a selling point. So we have to take that completely off the table. So what is our selling point? Our selling point is the network, the alumni that do not ever turn us down when we request some help from them for students, whether it's an informational interview, whether it's somebody that's interested in going into a particular industry, whether it's coaching, mentoring, they just don't say no. And we have them all over the place. So wherever our online students are, most likely we've got some strong alums in that same area. So that's a plus. And then the fact that the program is put together by faculty, for faculty, with the students in mind is really what it's all about. It just wasn't something that was patched together and we said, now we're online. That's just not the way it worked. It was completely designed separate of our existing MBA programs in terms of its curriculum, its delivery, et cetera, and the timing. So it really is its own standalone program that we're very, very proud of.
Nathan, I would have to add that the integrated curriculum is crucial here. It is unique. And actually, Phil and I just did a presentation, and actually with Ramesh from IU, talking about the in-house kind of MBA. But our integrated curriculum means that in most cases, we have 5 courses. And in most cases, 4 different professors are teaching that course together. That replicates what happens in the business world. You come to a conference room to talk about opportunities, how you're going to build, or challenges that you have to address. You don't go and talk to the marketing team at 9 o'clock and then the accountants at 11 o'clock. Most of the programs today are built on the 1907 model. We have a 21st century model built on a digital platform. It's totally different than any other program that I've seen for the online MBA space.
And that's why our students love it so much. They recognize that because they're out in the world living that. So they see that we're not sending them to marketing at 9 and finance at 10 and accounting at 11.
Right. They talk about it in their interviews. You know, we require an interview, as we're doing with you now, as a final piece of admissions. And they often talk about looking at several quality programs, but that they like this integrated curriculum for the learning.
Okay. And so over the past few years now that you all have been doing this, what have you learned from within the program and things you've done? And what have you seen in the online MBA markets space that is going to, inform decision-making or direction for the program moving forward in the next few years?
Well, I'll say, first of all, we've learned in our program, there's been an evolution of constant assessment, as you would imagine. And so for our program, we're very pleased now. We're going to be having a capstone project that goes from the first course, the first semester, all the way through the 5th course. In contrast to some programs where there's a capstone class, we have it emerging through all of the classes. We see that the students are going to be creating e-portfolios so that they can put their individual projects or collaborative projects in that. They can use that for self-assessment of learning, but they can also use it for promotions to show their boss what they've created. Those kind of pieces will continue to grow. But what we see for futures is other masters that we will want to put online. We're putting an MS in food industry leadership. We've just approved that. That'll be coming up in the next year. We hope to be putting certificate programs and really increasing the learning, because we see there's a huge marketplace of talented people who want more education coming in at all levels of experience and age. We need to provide that quality education for them.
Great. And I'm wondering if you can share anything about specific certificate areas. You've mentioned that a couple of times now, of areas that you all are looking at.
Well, we have the Global Supply Chain Management Masters up, so it's a natural that would be the next certificate. They have a certificate already residentially, so that we would convert that to be online. I hope that we'll have an approval for our business analytics program to be able to provide a certificate for that too.
Yeah, gotcha. And Dean Ellis, at the beginning of this conversation, you mentioned how the decline in interest in the MBA, the residential full-time MBA, was kind of what made you all curious about getting in this space. We're definitely seeing that now, as we've reported on quite a bit, that there are just a decrease in applications recently. There's also some new players coming into this market, University of Minnesota, University of Michigan, both entering the space. So I'm wondering if you all have any plans to just stay competitive and keep your program elevated with these newcomers coming in, and maybe more interest in the online space in general?
Well, interestingly enough, when the articles first came out in the Wall Street Journal, we all, not just USC Marshall, we all sort of panicked in our industry and talked about, a lot of us deans talked about, what do we do? What do we do? Our applications have not dropped for our full-time MBA program. In fact, they were up this past year when so many people reported some pretty serious declines, as you guys reported. So it's interesting because it really is two separate, the way we handle it, we run it as two separate businesses. The online MBA has its own team, which is rock stars, like I've said, and and Assistant Dean Griego and our faculty, Professor Burgos, are both online with us right now and watching us. And I just want to tell you guys both thank you, because this happened because of you. Trust me. But then also, I think that we're from USC and we don't like to lose. So are we going to stay competitive? Yes, we are going to stay competitive. Very, very competitive. We're not good losers. We're really bad at it.
That's okay. So I'm wondering now if we've got Phil is online and Miriam, one of the professors. I'm wondering if one of you want to jump in right now and just talk about your experience so far with the online MBA at USC Marshall. No pressure. I can direct it back to Dean Ellis, but if either one of you want to chime in on what's going on there. We've got Miriam.
Sure, absolutely. And first, thank you for having us. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to share more about our program. We certainly are very proud of what we've created. And one thing that I will share is that our faculty team, we work very closely to make sure that we are, in fact, giving our students exposure to business challenges in the same way that they will encounter them in the real world. So, this idea of an integrated curriculum where we're teaching courses that integrate multiple subjects all at once, the incorporation of a capstone project into our curriculum, all of these curriculum characteristics are meant to really prepare our students to be leaders within their industry, to be entrepreneurs, and to move onward and upward in their careers. All of our students are already successful professionals, but they're looking for that additional step towards even more success in their careers. And that's really how we have built our curriculum, with that goal in mind. And it has been a wonderful experience to work with these cohorts that have become so close to one another. We've had one particular student team who graduated recently who decided to come together after graduation and start their own business. We've had folks who have hired a classmate into a role that has been a promotion for them. So it really is a very active community of rich opportunities for our students, and really an absolute joy to work with this population of students. And I serve as academic director of the program, so I've had exposure to our curriculum from the beginning, from when we started with the task force that Dean Ellis and Vice Dean Crystal both mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah, and I would like to just add, going back to the production side of things, that this team we put together, oh goodness, I guess it was 3 to 4 years ago, has done an amazing job. And as I think it was Dean Ellis mentioned, there's just a lot of passion and dedication to the quality of what we do. And basically no one's content with the status quo. We're always talking about how can we make it better? How can it evolve? And our faculty have really bought into that concept, and really it's a team effort. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's paying off.
Yeah, and before we move forward with that, I actually do want to jump back to Dean Ellis's point about the applications. And one thing in particular that we reported on pretty extensively is that you all were the first full-time prominent school to reach gender parity, which is fantastic. And so I want to, I don't know, maybe this could be a good time for you all to talk a little bit about that. I know this is online focused, but it's something that I'd like to hit upon, especially since there was a student team who worked very closely with you all on that. And so, yeah, maybe you can give our readers just a little brief chat about that, but also what you all plan to do moving forward to make sure that those numbers continue to stay at that spot.
Let me start and then let them fill it in. But what really was our secret weapon in 52% female in our on-campus MBA program were our students. Our students came to us, they said, we know you're working hard on diversity. We know you're working hard on more female students. We'd like to help. And so basically when applicants came through, they sort of took over and did the selling. And it was because of them that we were able to land a class with 52% females. The students made it happen. Our admissions guys are great, but then they shared with the students these applicants they really wanted to bring into the program, and the students did close the deal. It was a huge plus, huge plus. We're pretty proud of them for what they did.
And I would say that we would like to be up there too. We're going to work on it. Our second cohort, we did have 50% women, but then it has dropped down. But still, the cohorts for the online programs have continually increased for women, for underrepresented populations, and for first-generation students. And so we're very pleased with the results of those incoming students.
Our goal in all this, Nathan, is really access. And it's access whether you're on campus or whether you're sitting in the middle of Kansas. We want you to have an opportunity to get the degree you're looking for. Even in Oakland, California.
As someone who has family from the middle of Kansas, I'm a little offended by that, but I'm going to let you go for now.
You would have thought I knew that, wouldn't you?
Should have done your research, Dean Ellis.
You know what I mean. Because, you need access to great programs. This is what the online program can do for us.
Right. And so let's talk a little bit more about that. It sounds like you all are doing things a little bit differently, but these programs, we've noticed in our data and reporting that they skew heavily towards men, white men. So I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about your efforts to enroll a diverse class in terms of, professional background, but also race, ethnicity, all that stuff. And talk a little bit about that and then how it informs the classroom interactions that you were talking about earlier.
Just a couple of thoughts, and I'll let Sandra jump in. First off, you have to have buy-in from everybody that's in the process that this is important and why is it important. When I was a professor and teaching in the classroom, diversity was so critical to the learning process of students when they heard from students of completely different backgrounds, geographic, ethnic, gender, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They would share their thoughts, and that would be as much of the learning experience as something coming from the mouth of a professor, because they got to see various points of view. Well, when our people all understand that, which they do, and they understand the value of that, then they know what they have to do and what they need to do to make sure that we bring in as diverse a class as we possibly can. And the key is you just got to continue looking at the quality of the student population, because it's not fair if you bring someone in that really isn't as qualified as the rest of them, because they learn from each other. And so therefore you've got to go out and find the best quality of student at the same level. And they're there. They are there without a question, and we're finding that. But we're having to work for it. And as Sandra said, a lot of first gen, a lot of underrepresented minorities, obviously a female population. What's important there is we look at ourselves as a conduit for the employer. The employer is coming to us saying, this is what I need. Our job then is to find those people, give them the education that they need to join the company, and then say to those companies, okay, we got them, come and get them. And that's really an important thing, is the partnership that we have with the employers who are looking for a diverse populace in their own group. So we got to make sure that we deal with them on the right basis too.
And I would add to that we've really wanted to set the tone from the time that our students first came in. So the dean and several industry leaders have put together a videotape that our students see as part of their orientation, talking about the business case for diversity and inclusion. Miriam has built a fantastic guest lecture series where we're bringing in people from top industries across the country and really showing diversity of gender and populations, to have not talk about diversity in their discussions, but certainly representing it and answering any questions. We recently received a grant for an executive in residence who is helping us to increase our efforts for diversity and inclusion. The inclusion also means that we have to work in our curriculum to provide cases that look at diversity. And so we have those cases in our curriculum, and Miriam could talk more about that. But we really know, as the dean has said, that diversity is a part of education, and it will make it richer if we have classes that are diverse in every manner: age, experience, geography. We really want that diversity in these classes, and that's what we have. And then Phil's team represents diversity probably better than any other team in Marshall. He's got a fabulous team. We really believe this is important and are putting a great deal of energy into improving our inclusion and our diversity efforts.
Gotcha. Great. So unfortunately, our time is quickly coming to an end. We have a couple more minutes left. I'm wondering, one more minute left. So any final thoughts? Oh, we actually have a question. I'm being informed by my staff here.
What was the biggest challenge USC faced in translating its courses to an online format?
Okay, did you all hear that?
No.
Okay. From the audience, what was the biggest challenge that USC had taking its courses from full-time residential to online?
Internal persuasion.
I think you really have to get the buy-in of senior faculty who are going to teach these classes, which are different. And Miriam and Sandra both talked about the integration of coursework. When they saw it and saw how it worked, they became absolute. They are really champions of the cause. And now they talk about it with other faculty members very religiously, to the point where the other faculty members are saying, maybe I ought to be trying that, and it makes me a better teacher, and those types of things. They're learning how to deal in teams themselves, which many faculty members have never been taught how to deal in teams. And so the first challenge was really getting it over the internal hump. It wasn't so much moving it from one course to the next, one side to the next, but then it was, once the senior faculty were totally on board, and we just said, help us design the curriculum, they just took it with a vengeance and did a spectacular job.
We were very fortunate because the Dean's Corporate Advisory Board, the Board of Leaders, have all supported it. They provided focus groups for us when we were designing the curriculum. Professor Matsusaka led the task force, and he and these faculty worked for a year and a half, putting in just hours and hours of the input from those focus groups, from graduate students, from alumni, and designing a curriculum that was for this platform. And once we got that through and got the internal approvals, then we moved ahead. It's because Dean Ellis's vision and generosity made it much easier than it might have been in some other schools.
It's a team game, Nathan, all the way through.
Gotcha. Miriam, not to put you on the spot, but I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on this of switching from full-time to online.
Absolutely. So one of the challenges that we faced and that we embraced as faculty was, how do you take classroom residential instruction and turn it into quality online instruction? And Jim mentioned, you can't just put a camera on a professor in a classroom and call it an online course. And so for us, the challenge was, as faculty, how do we work closely with Phil's team, who are such an incredibly talented group of people as instructional designers? How do we work with them to take our areas of expertise and turn them into a quality integrated curriculum for our students? And so it really was, again, the reason we embraced the challenge is because the challenge was, how do you take these two groups of very talented, passionate people, the faculty and the instructional design team, to produce the curriculum that we present to our students now. So it really elevated our teaching capabilities as faculty. I think, elevated our teaching capabilities as faculty in residential contexts as well. So all of it has been a process of growth for us. And what you see as our curriculum now is the result of that growth process and that passion that we all have for building a quality curriculum for our online program.
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you. We have one more question from the audience.
What kind of investment was required by USC to get its platform developed and program off the ground?
I like this one. Did you all hear that? Oh, I think you're still on mute.
Sorry, we were muted. So
Yeah.
yes, we did hear the question.
Okay, good.
I wondered how long you were going to ask. I have a favorite thing that I say when people ask me that question, and that is, I never pushed the total button. So all of those numbers and whatever it cost us to get it in gear, I don't think I've ever totaled all those numbers up. So I, honest to God, don't know the answer. I know that most people would look at it and say, wow, that was expensive. And the answer is it probably was, but it was worth every penny. So it's an investment in our future as a school. It's an investment in our students' future. And whatever that total was, and I honestly don't know what it is, it was worth it.
Okay. I think that's it for the questions from the audience. Okay. Well, thank you all for your time. Do you have any final thoughts about USC, Marshall, online MBA market? Just any final thoughts you might want to share with our audience?
I'd say just a couple of things. That online learning is here to stay. Do it the best you can. Do it right. Don't scrimp. Don't try and cut the corners. Do it with your best people. And we are very, very fortunate that we have had some of our best people on this project from the beginning. And that's what led to the culmination today. So we appreciate what everybody has done. And I publicly want to thank Sandra and Phil and Miriam and all the instructional designers and all of our faculty. It's absolutely been worth it. So, and thank you all for the recognition.
Okay, thank you very much. As a reminder, all the rankings are up now, poetsandquants.com. We'll be having a lot more coverage moving forward on all the data that we've gathered from the schools and their alums. Again, go to poetsandquants.com and check that out. Miriam, Phil, Dean Ellis, Sandra, thanks so much for your time, and thanks for chatting with us.
Thanks, Nathan.
Have a great rest of your day.
Yep, you too.
Bye.